Hello, today is Sunday, May 31st, 2015, and today I just want to talk about the 2-week wait in my IVF cycle and the symptoms that I experienced leading up to my positive pregnancy test. In an IVF cycle, the 2-week wait is actually reduced depending on what type of transfer you're doing. In my case, it was a 5-day transfer, which meant that I only really had to wait about 10 days to take my beta test. I'd say that there's kind of the first half and the second half in terms of the way I was feeling. In the first half, I would say the top symptoms were extreme bloating and had a big appetite. I was craving nothing but really salty, savory foods and just eating like tons of eggs and cheese and olives and hummus. Turkey sausage, turkey burgers, salmon. That I also had a lot of cramps, and these were like those, excuse me, like low down pinching cramps and twinges. And I'd say about 2 to 3 days after transfer, I had some really stabbing, sharp shooting cramps on my right side and definitely low down in my uterus area. And so I felt, excited about that because these cramps kind of made me wince in pain, and I felt like that could definitely be implantation. I didn't have any spotting or bleeding whatsoever during my entire wait, and I didn't really focus on, monitoring my CM because I'm taking progesterone vaginal suppositories, and that can just throw everything off down there and change things. I was having some insomnia and night sweats, and I also had some dreams with babies, and that was fun. In the second half, the cramps changed, and they kind of subsided after 3 days post-transfer. They kind of just subsided and almost went away, and then they picked up again in the second half of the wait, but this time they felt like period cramps, like really mild, really dull period cramps, but very low down, and kind of just that, aching sensation that you have when you're on your period. I saw that as a positive because it was way too early for my period to actually start. I was on progesterone, which actually delays the period, so I felt like that could also be a really good sign. I also started to feel really run down, like I was coming down with either a cold or the flu. I felt like I had a low-grade fever. Like every day I just felt really flushed and kind of foggy, just out of it, groggy, and tired, and just major temperature fluctuations. So all day long I would either be really overheated and flushed and at home turning on the AC, or I would be chilled where I was shaking and had to get a blanket. And that was really bizarre because it was constantly fluctuating. Toward the end of the wait, I think that the anxiety and the stress started to finally get to me, and I was thinking more and more of breaking down and using that one last pregnancy test that I had stashed in the bathroom. And my thoughts just became more and more anxious and focused on whether I was pregnant or not. I had promised myself that I wouldn't test because I didn't want any mind games, didn't want any false positives or false negatives, and just really wanted the direct, accurate response of the blood test. But it was playing on my mind, and it kind of just reached a critical mass one night, I think maybe 2 days before my beta test. I just broke down and started crying and just was extremely upset and just feeling extremely depressed about everything, and convinced that it was a failed cycle and it was over, and just giving into total self-pity. The next day my eyes were all puffy and I just felt like crap. And then the following day I went in for my beta test. And Yeah, I had a beta of 428, which is a high number, and you know, a strong indication of pregnancy. So obviously I was elated, and then of course I started to think back on all the things that I had noticed, all the ways I was feeling, and picking out the ones that I think particularly pointed to pregnancy. One of the things I forgot to mention that my husband also really picked up on is my cat Ginger became extremely attentive to me and extremely affectionate, and she just wanted to kind of sit on my lap all the time and snuggle with me in bed, and that was a little different because, yes, she's always affectionate, but she tends to bond more with my husband, and all of a sudden she was turning her attention to me, and we both kind of noticed it and just kind of, you know, tucked that away. And so I think that that definitely could have been because she was sensing the change in my behavior, and maybe she could sense the hormonal changes. So I think that was really sweet. The other thing my husband pointed out after we found out I was pregnant, he said there was one night where I was getting up frequently to pee in the night, and I woke him up at one point when I did so, and he just kind of glanced over at me, and he said that I was glowing, and that he remembered that and felt like more and more positive that it had worked and that I was pregnant. So a lot of things I think do stand out as pregnancy symptoms, and I just wanted to put this video out there for other ladies going through IVF or just even in a natural cycle who are looking for 2-week wait symptoms that actually led to a positive pregnancy test. And I'm really happy and delighted to be able to actually make a video like this and finally be at this point. So just wanted to send all my love and encouragement to all of you that are still trying, and lots of baby dust. And I hope you're all doing well. Bye!